Tonight here at 5 o'clock, a tragedy for the entire community. That's how one pastor is describing the mourning underway in Glendale, Kentucky for the death of a hometown hero, Sergeant Benjamin Pennington. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Doug Proffitt.
And I'm Connie Leonard. He is the 7th U.S. service member killed in the strikes against Iran. The Department of War announcing that Sergeant Pennington was injured during that attack on U.S. troops at Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia on March 1st. He died yesterday. He was assigned to the 1st Space Brigade at Fort Carson, Colorado. Pennington was 26 years old. Pennington grew up in Glendale, about 50 miles south of Louisville. Tonight, our Conroy Delusion photojournalist Gabby DeGeorge visited with his family's pastor. They say this is a huge loss for the community.
To many who knew him here in Glendale, Sergeant Benjamin Pennington was simply Ben. This is where he grew up. This was the church that he attended, that his family still goes to. It's where he was baptized. It's a really hard day for this close-knit community.
This is just heartbreaking.
Family weighs heavily on the heart of Glendale Christian Church pastor Michael Bell.
There's no words to describe how mom and dad feel in the loss of their son.
Pastor Bell says the town's connection to military service makes this time feel even heavier.
With Fort Knox and all, we have a lot of people that have gone off to service and done well.
Ben Pennington, as far as I'm concerned, has always been an American hero.
Before he wore the Stars and Stripes, Pennington was a student at Central Hardin High School.
He was the quintessential All-American.
Tom Pitt is an automotive instructor in the Early College and Career Center. Pitt says as a student, Pennington excelled at understanding electrical aspects, but his expertise went well beyond the shop.
So fixing a car, that's not always good enough. Sometimes it's fixing the people. He was good at fixing people. People liked him. He liked people.
Pitt says Pennington's death is gut-wrenching for anyone who taught him.
Knocks the wind out of you, and you question reality for just a minute. Am I dreaming? Is this real?
An unexpected loss.
It was real, and it's heartbreaking.
It's a sentiment across the area. In Hardin County, Conroy Delusion, WHAS11, on your side.
Before Pennington's death, Bell says the latest person from Glendale killed while serving was Dennis Vance in 1970. And today, Kentucky Congressman Morgan McGarvey spoke to WHAS on this tragedy, saying war is the hardest vote to take in Congress.
No matter how you vote, something's going to happen. If you don't act, something happens. If you do act, something happens. But, you know, the idea of people coming to the front door of a mom and a dad and telling them that their son's not coming home, that is something that is always serious, and so we thank him for his service.
Also today, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear responded to Pennington's death on social media.
He said, quote, "Kentucky, I am sad to share we just received news that Sergeant Benjamin N. Pennington from Glendale has died due to injuries from an Iranian attack. Sergeant Pennington is a hero who sacrificed everything serving our country. Please join Brittany and me as we pray for his family and our fellow Kentuckians during this difficult time," end quote. U.S. Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell also responding today, saying in part, Sergeant Pennington's death is an awful reminder of the cost of Tehran's decades-long war against American service members. A grateful nation honors his life and his service to our country as he paid the ultimate sacrifice in defending American freedom. And in the Middle East, U.S. and Israeli airstrikes continue to pound Iran. President Donald Trump vowing to continue the fight. In an interview with the New York Post, the president saying he's, quote, nowhere near a decision to sending U.S. troops in on the ground. And Secretary of State Marco Rubio addressing the threat in a press conference today.
It's important to continue to remind the American people of why it is that the greatest military in the history of the world is engaged in this operation. It is to destroy the ability of this regime to launch missiles, both by destroying their missiles and their launchers, destroy the factories that make these missiles, and destroy their Navy.
The United States says it's intercepted communications believed to be from Iran, which may serve as, quote, an operational trigger for, quote, sleeper assets outside the country. The government now warning law enforcement to increase monitoring of suspicious radio activity, though right now there is, quote, no operational threat tied to a specific location. WHAS11 will continue following the attacks on Iran. The best way to stay up to date with the latest information is to download the WHAS11 app. You can download it for free on your smartphone or smart TV. Once again, we started our morning with something we don't see often around here. It now seems to be one of our new friends in the weather, fog. This is coming around more often than not.
Yes. Yeah, it became denser as the morning progressed. We got moisture that moved in from the south, so we were first seeing it early this morning in south central Kentucky, spread across Kentuckiana up to the Louisville metro area, and then thankfully dissipated by mid-morning. But we've had a mix of sun and clouds, and we're seeing that right now from our First Savings Bank U of L health camera over in Jeffersonville, overlooking downtown Louisville. And temperatures today are once again in the 60s and 70s. Our sunrise this morning was at 8:03, sunset at 7:44. Of course, that's also new after springing forward yesterday morning. Temperatures staying above normal, very spring-like in the 60s, some lower 70s all across our viewing area here. And our Max HD satellite and radar is showing a cluster of storms down to our south and southwest. We've had a mix of sun and clouds across the area, and that's basically blowing off of this activity that's down to our south. But this is where storm chances will stay today, so we are looking to remain dry. Our hourly planner throughout this evening, 70s and 60s on tap with a mix of clouds rolling through here. Temperatures are not going to drop much overnight. We do have the chance for a few spotty showers or thunder showers, especially south of Louisville overnight and into tomorrow morning. But all eyes are really on Wednesday. This is when we do have a weather impact alert. We could have rounds of showers and thunderstorms, some of which could be on the strong side. And in general, through our 7-day forecast, we are looking at temperature swings. Lots of ups and downs as we tend to see this time of year. And of course, we will talk much more about both of those coming up in our 7-day forecast.
Mallory, thank you. Well, a Friday night fight on the Jeffersonville side of the Big 4 Bridge caused police to increase patrols over the weekend.
You see the cell phone video right there that we obtained. No arrests were made after Jeffersonville police say they sent the group of mostly teenagers right back over to Louisville.
Our Ian Hardwick found that video of the Friday night fight and shares the city's efforts to prevent another one.
Nikki Blakely took this video of a Friday night fight. It was nearly 11 o'clock underneath the Big 4 Bridge. We've blurred it to protect kids' identities.
And they on the Indiana side.
It was the first of 2 fights she saw while on a walk with her son and nephews. In the second, she says the group of mostly teenagers stomped 2 girls on the ground.
Get your kids.
The first fight scattered as Jeffersonville police showed up. But usually,
it's peaceful out here and it's quiet.
The bridge offers moms like Devin Smith a break.
You know, when we were kids, we were around that stuff, so it's not like it's uncommon or anything. I just wish the parents would be more involved in the kids' personal life, you know, ask them questions.
Saturday, Jeffersonville police shared a statement saying, quote, law enforcement action will be taken, including increased police presence at the Big 4 Park and surrounding downtown areas. It also said officers sent the second group back across the bridge to Louisville. Louisville Metro Police have a bridge patrol. It stretches from Waterfront Park over to the Indiana portion of the bridge right here. Jeffersonville PD said they're working with LMPD to stop fights like these in the future. However, they weren't specific about those details. No arrests were made after the fights.
We are not going to allow our parks to become a place where violence is acceptable.
Jeffersonville Councilman Evan Stoner backed the police department but said kids need support too.
We can't give up on our community. We can't give up on our youth. We have to still be willing to show up and make a positive impact where we can.
Because he says this is the alternative. Reporting in Jeffersonville, Ian Hardwick for WHAS11 News, on your side.
Jeffersonville Mayor Mike Moore tells us today police expect some conflict near the bridge when the weather warms up.
Almost a year ago on the Louisville side, LMPD arrested 3 teens for a daylight shootout.
We have an update today. Indiana conservation officers say they've discovered the body of the man who was reported missing last week in the East Fork of the White River in southern Indiana. The agency said officers recovered the body of 55-year-old Bradley Deaton of Seymour, Indiana, yesterday afternoon just before 2:30. He was reported missing Friday after a boat capsized in the floodwater east of Cortland, Indiana. 2 men tried to help, but the boat was having mechanical issues and it was pushed by the current, eventually overturning.
Today, LMPD says it's arrested a man in connection to a Highlands bank robbery from 2 weeks ago. 66-year-old Robert Taylor is charged with robbery after police say he took an undisclosed amount of money from a Chase Bank on Bardstown Road. It happened on February 24th, just before 2 in the afternoon. LMPD says that case remains an active investigation.
Happening today, he was high profile right here in Louisville hours after the fatal UPS crash. Now, Todd Inman of the NTSB and a native of Owensboro, Kentucky, has been fired by the White House, and he's pushing back on the allegations tonight. Todd Inman, a member of the National Transportation Safety Board since the first Trump administration, says the White House notified him Friday that his position was being terminated immediately. Inman was the lead member on the scene for the UPS cargo plane crash in Louisville in November and the deadly collision between a passenger jet and an Army helicopter over the Potomac River in Washington. In a statement released today, a White House spokesperson saying, quote, the White House lawfully removed Todd Inman from the NTSB after receiving highly concerning reports of inappropriate alcohol use on the job, harassment of staff, misuse of government resources, and failure to attend at least half of NTSB meetings, end quote. Todd Inman quickly firing back, writing, quote, I categorically deny the allegations made in the White House statement. It has become increasingly obvious this action was a political hit job. While not my original intent, I look forward to defending my reputation through all legal means possible. That's from Todd Inman. Now, WHAS11 News interviewed Inman right here in our studio 3 days after the crash. He sat down for an exclusive live interview following the plane crash. Here's some of what he had to say then.
Let us do the good work, but let me characterize that. If we see something that needs an urgent safety record change, we have no problem doing it. We want to keep everyone safe, no matter what mode of transportation they're in.
According to the NTSB website, keep in mind, NTSB board members like Inman are actively involved in investigating major crashes, but they do not act as the primary investigators. Instead, a designated investigator in charge and technical staff member, they handle the field work.
A new state audit is raising serious concerns about where some of Kentucky's foster children are being housed. Now, Auditor Allison Ball says her office found more than 300 children placed in non-traditional settings, and that includes state office buildings, state parks, and other locations not licensed for child care. The report says these placements can increase the risk of runaways, abuse, and sex trafficking. Auditors say nearly 40% of kids ages 12 to 17 in the non-traditional placements showed signs that they were planning to run away. Under state law, the Cabinet for Health and Family Services must respond to the findings by March 24th and outline changes within 60 days. We've reached out to Governor Andy Beshear's office for a comment about that audit, but have not heard back.
Looking ahead this week, President Donald Trump's going to be traveling to northern Kentucky this week, in the Cincinnati area. The Republican Party of Kentucky shared the information on their Facebook page. The release said it will be at 1 o'clock Wednesday afternoon at the Verst Logistics Contract Packaging Facility in Hebron, Kentucky. The president will also be making a stop across the river in Cincinnati the very same day. The release goes on to say that President Trump will lay out the work he's doing to make America affordable again, and the plan Republicans have to keep the country moving forward.
Coming up, a damage assessment is underway after a powerful and deadly tornado touched down in southwestern Michigan. We'll have the latest next.
Here's a check of today's Kentucky Lottery jackpots. Mega Millions, $533 million. Powerball, $46 million.
The Kentucky Lottery, funding education for over 1 million Kentucky students.